Hey there, comic fans. You're watching Comic Yahud, and today, we're kicking off Chapter 3 of Tintin and the Dark Island. Let's roll. As Tintin walks away, he firmly declares that this should be the end of Bones for the day, while Snowy looks after the disappearing treat with a wistful expression. Tintin's resolve is met with Snowy's dreaming thoughts of flying Bones, showing his reluctance to give up. Suddenly, Tintin stumbles forward with a cry of surprise as something unexpected strikes him. Snowy, with a questioning bark, watches his companion recover from the unexpected blow. A stern man confronts Tintin, scolding him for trespassing on private property. Tintin, holding his head, apologizes sincerely, explaining that he lost his way. The man, softening slightly, warns Tintin not to trespass again and provides directions to the main road. Tintin listens intently, grateful for the guidance. Following the man's instructions, Tintin walks along the path by the river with Snowy trotting beside him. The peaceful scenery seems to soothe both as they head towards the main road. Tintin stops abruptly, confronting Snowy, who has picked up an enormous bone. With a mix of amusement and exasperation, he questions Snowy's intentions. Deciding to rid himself of the distraction, Tintin hurls the bone into the river, watching it splash into the water. Snowy seems taken aback, his tail drooping slightly as he watches the bone float away. Continuing their journey, Tintin crosses a charming stone bridge and spots the main road ahead. His spirits lift as he announces their proximity to civilization, eager to move forward. Tintin walks briskly down the road, with Snowy trotting alongside, as he estimates the distance to East Down. His determination drives them forward, eager to reach their destination. As they approach a gate, Tintin stops in surprise upon noticing a sign marked Dr. J.W. Muller. He pauses, a question forming in his mind, as Snowy looks up curiously. Finding the area deserted, Tintin decides to explore further, sensing something unusual about the place. His curiosity piqued, he quietly resolves to investigate, with Snowy by his side. Tintin peers cautiously over a brick wall, his eyes scanning the area beyond with keen interest. The rustling leaves above him hint at the quiet solitude of the place, as he decides his next move. With determination, Tintin nimbly drops down on the other side of the wall, landing gracefully on the grass. Snowy eagerly follows, his excitement evident as he bounds beside his friend. Together, Tintin and Snowy stride forward, the lush greenery surrounding them as they delve deeper into the mysterious garden. Snowy's nose leads the way, clutching a bone he discovered, while Tintin scans for any signs of what might lie ahead. Suddenly, a fierce bark interrupts their exploration, and Tintin turns to see a large dog approaching. Snowy stands bravely, bone in mouth, as the dog continues to bark loudly at them. Tintin and Snowy dash away, the dog in hot pursuit, barking relentlessly behind them. Tintin's heart races as their feet pound against the ground, trying to outrun their pursuer. In his haste, Tintin trips over a hidden rock, tumbling head over heels. "I'm done for," he cries out, fearing the worst as he hits the ground. As Tintin scrambles to get up, a large spotted dog leaps over him with a booming bark, startling him even more. The Great Dane's powerful presence adds to Tintin's moment of panic. The Great Dane continues its charge, now directing its barks at Snowy, who darts away in a flurry of fur. Snowy looks back in fear, his small frame barely a match for the larger dog. Tintin, still on all fours, watches in confusion as the commotion unfolds. His concern for Snowy grows as the relentless barking echoes around him. Tintin races through the forest, calling out desperately for Snowy as the dog's frantic barking fills the air. His heart pounds with fear at the thought of his beloved companion in danger. Peering through the trees, Tintin sees Snowy whimpering helplessly as a menacing dog growls over the bone it has just seized. Snowy's cries echo with frustration and fear, powerless against the larger animal's dominance. Tintin presses himself against a tree, calling for Snowy to come to him with urgency in his voice. His eyes remain fixed on his brave little dog, willing him to retreat from the danger. Tintin, with a determined look, warns that they must leave quickly as he fears the large dog's barking might have drawn unwanted attention. Snowy, however, seems momentarily distracted by thoughts of a juicy bone. Just as they move to make their escape, Tintin steps on a trap hidden in the grass and is jolted by a sharp pain, letting out a startled yow as he staggers backward. Snowy, alarmed by his friend's outburst, rushes to his side with a worried bark. Regaining his balance, Tintin bends down to examine the trap and exclaims with surprise, "A man-trap." Snowy sniffs around the dangerous contraption, his curiosity piqued by the unexpected obstacle. A sharp ring catches the attention of Muller behind a desk, who notes that someone is caught in trap number 9 and decides to investigate. Beside him, Ivan in a suit listens intently, preparing to follow. Outside, Tintin is startled by a voice that recognizes him, claiming his visit to be a pleasant surprise. Snowy stays close, sensing the unexpected attention on his owner. Muller arrives with Ivan, instructing him to release Tintin as he assures that Tintin won't attempt to flee. Tintin stands alert, aware of the watchful eyes upon him. Snowy stealthily follows behind, weaving through the trees as Tintin is escorted by Ivan and Muller with the grey fedora along a narrow path. The rustling leaves and distant chirps seem to echo Tintin's resolve as he walks briskly between his captors, his eyes searching for an opportunity. Inside, the atmosphere shifts as Muller orders Ivan to prepare the car for an immediate departure. Tintin stands by, his mind racing with thoughts as he assesses the situation, readying himself for whatever may unfold next. The man reveals his sinister intentions, explaining his plan to send Tintin to a private mental institution he oversees. Tintin listens intently, his expression a mix of defiance and determination, knowing he must find a way to outsmart his captor. As the man steps away to make a phone call, Tintin remains by the fireplace, his mind racing with thoughts of escape. He eyes the burning firewood, contemplating a plan, while the man's words about the special treatment linger ominously. Muller converses with someone named Horncliffe, describing Tintin as a highly dangerous patient in need of treatment B. Meanwhile, Tintin's attention shifts to a burning log, as a possible tool for his daring escape begins to form in his mind. Tintin carefully retrieves a log and maneuvers it against the rope binding him, determined to break free. Muller continues his conversation, hinting that Tintin currently appears sane but will soon be changed by the treatment, unaware of Tintin's quiet defiance. Muller triumphantly announces his success as he fiddles with some equipment, his expression one of smug satisfaction. Unbeknownst to him, Tintin quietly approaches from behind, ready to make his move. With swift determination, Tintin lands a punch on Muller, sending him sprawling backwards in shock. Tintin's actions are decisive and full of youthful vigor, his confidence unwavering. Muller struggles to regain his balance, glaring at Tintin with a mix of anger and surprise as he rises from the floor. Tintin stands his ground, his stance firm and ready for whatever comes next. As Tintin and Muller grapple violently, a loud bang echoes through the room, causing Ivan to turn in shock. In a whirlwind of motion, Tintin and Muller are locked in a fierce struggle, each trying to gain control of the gun. Their movements create an almost dizzying swirl of color and energy, with neither willing to back down. The sound of another gunshot propels Ivan into action, as he dashes down the hallway, urgency in every step. His mind races as he tries to reach the source of the commotion, determined to intervene. Ivan bursts into the room, startled by the chaos as Tintin grapples with Muller on the floor, a gunshot echoing through the air. The fireplace roars beside them, casting flickering shadows across the disheveled study. Ivan, his face etched with urgency, reaching his automatic pistol to regain control of the situation. A bullet strikes the wall, ripping the lace that hold a picture frame, causing it to drop precariously. As Ivan reached into his pocket for his gun, the loosened picture frame came crashing down onto his head. He reeled backward in shock, the weapon slipping from his grasp. Muller, with a sudden surge of strength, hurled Tintin over his shoulder in a judo-style throw. Tintin crashed headlong to the floor, the gun slipping from his grasp as the struggle turned against him. Tintin crashed onto his back with a heavy thud, dazed and reeling from the throw. Muller loomed next to him, his grip tightening as he regained full control of the weapon. Muller's frustration peaks as he discovers the gun is empty, his shout echoing through the room, while Tintin watches cautiously from the floor. The tension between them is tangible, and both are keenly aware of the stakes. Seizing the moment, Muller hurled his gun straight at Tintin, but Tintin twisted aside just in time. The weapon smashed into the window with a violent crack, glass raining down as Tintin seized a small table, bracing to hurl it in return. Tintin, with a surge of strength, heaved the small table and hurled it across the room with all his might. The table crashes into Muller by the fireplace, causing him to cry out in pain as he stumbles backward. Caught off guard, he inadvertently touches the hot fireplace, yelping in agony as he jerks his hand away. The sudden shock sends him reeling, further disrupting his composure. Regaining his footing, Muller crouched by the fireplace, his face twisted in a scowl. He reached into the flames for a heavy log, smoke curling around him as he prepared his next strike. Tintin dashes, narrowly avoiding the log from the fireplace, which crashes the room curtain. Amidst the smoke, Muller kneels down, discovering Ivan's discarded gun, exclaiming about its loaded state. Tintin races through the hallway, urgency in his stride as he makes his way towards the stairs. Muller, clutching a gun, charges through a smoke-filled hallway, his eyes narrowed with focus as he shouts triumphantly. The fire crackles menacingly at the edge of his path, casting flickering shadows on the walls. He reaches the staircase and fires a shot upwards, his expression twisted with determination as he aims at a fleeing Tintin darting up the steps. The echo of the gunshot fills the stairwell, heightening the peril of the chase. Meanwhile, Tintin is in a nearby room, frantically trying to lock a door as the sound of gunfire reaches him. The room is filled with strange machinery, casting an eerie glow on his tense features as he struggles with the handle. Muller hurled himself against the door, shoulder first, his face contorted with effort as he tried to force his way inside. The impact shook the frame, his gun clenched tight in hand while the door groaned under the blow. Tintin braced himself against the door, pressing his body firmly to hold it shut. Every thud from Muller's assault rattled the frame, but Tintin stood tense and unyielding, straining with all his strength to keep the enemy out. As Tintin pressed his body against the door, gunfire suddenly blasted through from the other side. He sprang back just in time, the bullet splintering wood where he had been standing only a heartbeat before. Glass shatters violently as bullets pierce through the cabinet, sending shards and objects flying in all directions. Tintin remains crouched, his mind racing to devise a plan amidst the chaos. Amidst the debris, a broken bottle of chloroform spills its contents onto the floor, the fumes curling up ominously. Just then, a loud cry of "Fire! Fire!" echoes through the corridor, pulling Tintin's attention sharply. He peeks around the corner, confusion and concern etched on his face as he grapples with this new threat. On the other side of the door, Muller suddenly halted his assault, freezing mid-stride. The furious pounding stopped as his eyes widened in surprise at the echoing screams of "Fire! Fire!" booming through the corridor. Ivan, in his blue uniform, rushed to the scene just as Muller exclaimed in alarm about the burning log that had set everything ablaze. The two men exchanged a tense glance, both recognizing the peril of the flames spreading fast. Meanwhile, Tintin lingered before the door, unaware that the shattered chloroform bottle behind him had begun to fill the room with its creeping fumes. His brow furrowed in cautious doubt, still pondering whether the alarm outside was real or merely a ruse to draw him out. Overcome by the chloroform's heavy fumes, Tintin swayed unsteadily, pressing his hands to his head as a wave of dizziness washed over him. His eyelids grew heavier with each breath, the creeping drowsiness pulling him closer to collapse despite his desperate will to resist. Despite his efforts, Tintin collapses to the floor, spirals of dizziness surrounding him as he loses consciousness. His mind drifts away, leaving him vulnerable and defenseless. Meanwhile, outside, Snowy hides behind a tree, alarmed by a house engulfed in flames. The smoke billows into the sky, and Snowy senses the urgency to act. Inside the blazing house, Tintin lies unconscious on the floor, surrounded by thick smoke and encroaching flames. The fire crackles menacingly, threatening to consume everything in its path. Nearby, two villagers notice the smoke rising and point towards the burning building. "Look there." "A fire," one exclaims, while the other identifies it as Dr. Muller's place, their voices filled with alarm. In the distance, the fire station's siren wails loudly, echoing across the landscape as it signals the emergency. Its urgent call to action promises help for those in peril within the blaze. The fire crew stands at attention, ready for action as their leader acknowledges their preparedness. Suddenly, a firefighter dashes towards the group, adding an air of urgency to their mission. As they approach the fire engine garage, one of the firefighters anxiously asks for the key, realizing a crucial detail has been overlooked. His companion searches frantically, heightening the tension. Sweat trickles down as the firefighter admits he must have misplaced the key, his voice a mix of worry and embarrassment. The team waits, their mission momentarily stalled by this unexpected hurdle. With a look of dismay, one firefighter explains that there's a hole in his pocket and the key must have slipped through as he ran. His words hang heavily as the team realizes their dilemma is not yet resolved. Frustration erupts as one of the team members angrily calls out the mistake and urges everyone to hurry and start searching. The urgency in his voice spurs the group into action, their focus shifting to finding the lost key. The firefighters fan out along the street, their eyes scanning the ground intently in hopes of spotting the missing key. The street becomes a scene of concentrated effort, each step filled with the hope of recovering their lost item. That's the end of this chapter. If you're enjoying the story, continue to the next one and don't forget to like and subscribe for more comic adventures on Comic Yahad.